So the house basically just works for itself. It lets the sun come in, it heats, in our case we have a masonry wood stove, it'll heat that thermal mass of rock, and that then later in the day that emits the heat back into the house. We will use reflective paint, radiant paint, which will also help reflect the warmth back into the house, and in the winter and in the summer it helps to dissipate. The number of windows that we put in the house is going to be relative to how much heat is also entering through those windows and how much heat is lost in the winter. So all these proportions and percents of openings and thickness of walls and insulation and slopes of roof and any kind of materials that are absorptive and then hold the heat in the daytime and then emit it at night back into the house are all positive and important aspects of a passive solar design.
And I think it's important to your points, Donna. It's about, one thing is about orientating the house to the sun, but it's also looking at, again, when you say glazing, so we're 15% on the building envelope with glazing, and 50% of that 15% is on the south side. So again, the way the sun works in the summer, and so then we have oversized overhangs on the roofs as well. And the reason they're there is in the summer our sun sits high, so the overhangs will shadow the sun from coming into the house. So that'll stop the heat gain. In the winter, the sun is at a much lower elevation in the sky, so that, again, to your point, will bring in the heat. So in behind that, we do have Rockwell R22 in behind there, and now we've applied this. And before mechanical, traditionally it's done after mechanical is completed, but because we have a double wall construction, our 2x4 wall is our mechanical wall. Anything mechanical is going to come up through that interior wall, so nothing will penetrate unless it's an exterior electrical or vent. An exhaust vent will not penetrate through. We've used a sealant to the floor system to seal it, and then as we've run our main wall barrier up, we've sealed it as well.
One of the other values that we have specifically regarding this non-structural interior wall system is that it's found inside of the control layers here for air and vapor. So if there are any requirements after the fact by a homeowner to run any other cabling or electronic data assemblies, what have you, they're running that inside of the control layer itself. So there's no potential for penetrating or breaking this and creating issues with either condensation resistance or moisture movement.
So with the process here, what we'll do, instead of using shims all the way around, we are going to use these window setting screws, and then we'll use a backer rod to seal on the furthest outside edge, and then we'll spray foam in there, and then we'll use a pink bat insulation to chink in there, and then we'll end up using another Siga product from our vapor barrier membrane to seal to the jamb.
This is substantially different than anything that the production industry or the standard custom home builder would be doing, from a materials perspective as well as from a sequencing and detail perspective. So it's not consistent with what we would see. It's a step above.